Hello, everyone, and welcome to the virtual POCONO Speedway. I am your host, Mark Murphy, alongside, as always, the wonderful Ryan Eric King, and we are live from the virtual POCONO Speedway for 105 laps of Horizon IndyCar Series action. And Ryan, we've got a heck of a show planned tonight. This beautiful 2.5 mile tricky triangle, as it's called, usually plays host to some pretty interesting affairs, doesn't it?
Yeah, it feels like here at the Tricky Triangle we get the best of both worlds, where you get a lot of side-by-side action, and that's largely down to the lengthy front straight. But in longer races like the one we're going to see tonight, fuel strategy always plays a factor, because track position is key around here.
You know, it most certainly is, and we at least have one guy, Craig Forsyth, in the field, known for his fuel strategy techniques, and so be interesting to see how Craig plays that one. The track was designed in 1959 by Roger Ward. Yes, the Roger Ward that's a two-time Indianapolis 500 champion. It was specifically designed and built for Indianapolis cars. You'll note the three corners. There is no turn 4 here, and all three corners were built as essentially replicas of a corner at a different track. So turn 1 is more or less wide. It is the steepest banked at 14 degrees. That's modeled after the former Trenton Speedway. Turn number 2, 8 degrees of banking, also known as the tunnel turn, and that is the most treacherous corner of the course. That's modeled after Indianapolis. And turn number 3 is very wide, very flat, 6 degrees of banking. It's modeled after the Milwaukee Mile, and certainly it's almost as if they laid out the corners, got their distance, and then just connected them with the three straightaways. The front straightaway is the longest. Probably the second most so is the Long Pond straightaway. That connects turns 1 and 2, and so you'll hear us use that term tonight. This course does have a road course, and you can see that laid out in the interior. We do not have access to the road course in this scan, but there's some of it. It does exist. And the track has played host to all kinds of different races. Most notably currently, it's got a NASCAR weekend. The Indy cars have a long and storied history here. At one point, this track was part of a Triple Crown with Michigan and Indianapolis. They've raced everything from modifieds to SCCA cars here. The lap record is held by Risky Brisky Ryan Briscoe, 40.9009 seconds. That's set in 2014. And you wonder how much faster that is than a stock car trundles around here, Ryan?
Oh, I'm guessing we're double-digit mile-an-hour gap.
Forget double-digit mile an hour. It's double digits in seconds. So 40.9009 for Ryan Briscoe in the DW12 in 2014. How about Kyle Busch has the NASCAR Cup record here, 2017, 51.298, almost 10.4 seconds is the difference. And speaking of difference and speaking of speed, let's go ahead and get qualifying up here for our fans. We've got minute 25 left, Ryan, and we're looking at Kyle Clinworth sitting on the provisional pole, 2:15.532. And let's see how that compares. 41.826. So we're about a second off of the outright track record here. That's not surprising, Ryan, given that we're in the IR18 version of this car. The absolute track record was set with the old manufacturer's aero kits. So they were a little slicker back then.
Yeah, without a doubt, those cars had a tremendous amount of downforce. People jokingly referred to them as the Gillette razor blades.
Yeah, they were pretty fast, pretty slick looking. Speaking of fast and slick looking, last week when we left the fans, Kyle Clinworth was sitting in victory lane at Texas from Alexander Miller and Josh Ward, and what that's done is it has given him a 50-point lead after 4 races over series director Matt Wagner. Josh Ward sits third with 58 points. Alexander Miller fourth. Craig Forsyth rounds out your top 5. Altena, Gallows, Wheeler, Mitchum, and Frank Wynn are going to be the remainder of your top 10 in those point standings. Julian Altena is not here this evening, although all of the other major players are. And that's going to bring us to the starting lineup. Ryan. On the pole with a speed of 216.082 miles an hour, that'd be Mason Mitchum. He's going to be flanked by Matt Wagner, Frank Wynn, and Edson Santos. They're going to start in row 2. Kyle Clindy had the provisional pole, but got sniped at the end. He's going to have Sheridan Wade to his outside. Gary Lovern and Rick Sanchez going to make up row 4, and Nick Wheeler and Nate Fields, they're going to have the 5th row and round out the top 10. In 11th, Lith Fox. Walter Macias is going to start 12th. Alex Miller and Craig Forsyth are going to make up the 7th row. They're followed by Stephen Lee and Andrew Surowak. 17th, starting 17th, Josh Ward. 18th, Yari Brubaker. Eric Peterson, 19th. Hugo Gallows, 20th. Brian Greenlee, he will go 21st. Donnie Battiest, 22nd. And Will Stearns is going to round out the field. He's going to be shotgun here. Will Stearns also did not set a time in qualifying, and so that is your starting lineup.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the drivers approach the start because, like we mentioned earlier, the front straights are very long, and in start conditions, you could draft up behind someone, get a run, get past them, but there's still so much time to turn 1 that whoever you just passed could draft up behind you and try to pass you back.
Yeah, it's a very interesting way this track races for our fans at home. It's very easy to pass. Let me rephrase that. It's very easy to pass. It's also very difficult to pass all at the same time. The front stretch is very, very, very wide, and you can get all kinds of crazy runs coming out of turn number 3. Because you'll see these cars, that corner over there is about 6 lanes wide, and you'll see all of these cars use all 6 lanes. The other bit of that is that there are infinite combinations of ways to get through that corner. So you'll see cars fan out all through that, and then they tend to get single file or funnel down to single file to set up to turn 1 because there's really only a couple of decently fast ways through there. And so you can get a ton of momentum, you can pull to the inside, but if you don't have some drafting help, that conga line of cars up at the front is going to be able to go right past you. So you can get a run and not have anywhere to go with it. Same with really down through here, down the Long Pond straightaway. We're looking at the front row, Mason Mitchum, Matty Wagner, but you can get a huge run off of turn number 1. You can get down to the bottom going down the Long Pond straight, but it's so long. If you don't have any drafting help, it can be very difficult to make a pass through there. The other thing is here, Ryan, the leader is kind of a set and duck.
Yeah, without a doubt, especially into the tunnel turn, where realistically it's a 1-line corner, and ideally you want to be the guy on the inside. But you can't take that corner at too shallow of an angle. So if you end up pinned too low heading into 2, you're pretty much put in a situation where it's either you yield or we're going to have an accident.
Yeah, and by the same token, you can't go through turn 2 really all that high either, because if you do that, you're going to wind up in a situation where you're going to just pound the outside fence coming off the corner. Turn number 2, very tricky. But the trickiness here at the triangle is about to begin. Mason Mitchum is going to lead them off of turn number 3. What turn 4 painted on the outside retaining wall. Pace car ducks on off. Barney's got the green flag in the air. And we are underway in the Pocono 262 here in the Horizon IndyCar Series.
Yep, and Mitchum, big jump off the start. And you're going to see it down the run the 2. They're gonna stuck right up to his rear wing.
100%. Everybody safely through turn number 1. They did fan out in the traditional Pocono fashion. They're still fanning out going down the Long Pond straight. Mitchum still leads them. We've got Wagner in second. Clindy has made his way all the way up to third just on the initial start. And watch the different lines through here. You see them. We got 4 cars in the picture there. There are 4 different lines going through turn number 3. Everybody hunting that clean air. The snake begins going down the front straight.
On the first time down the front straight.
You got it. Why not? Watching the battle for the lead. That's Mason Mitchum, Matty Wagner, and just look at the field. I mean, they're all over the place, Ryan.
Yeah, because when you're so close to so many cars, there's so many different lines that can be fast. So if there are too many cars taking a wide angle through turn 1, you can just go a bit slower through the clean air at the bottom and make up a position or two.
You know you can. The other thing that you'll see is, I mentioned that conga line of draft, and you kind of see the cars getting straightened out. Craig Forsyth, he's on the bottom trying to make a move down into turn 1, and this is what Ryan was talking about. If you can get an offset through turn number 1, you can make up a ton of ground. That time, everybody went low in front of Craig. Everybody went low in front of Craig, and that's Walter Macias in front of him, and Walter able to maintain the position. What I was kind of getting at, Craig was even Steven with him halfway down the front straight.
And Mitchum actually having to defend the lead, and he holds on through 3.
Yeah, we'll get Matty Wagner in the battle for the lead with Mason Mitchum back up here. Clindy has dropped back just a little bit. The tires are getting hot now, and so they're not going to stick near as well. The aero wash here is huge, especially through turns 1 and 3. It's not so bad in turn 2 because you have to carry every setup here is a compromise, and most tend to treat turn number 2 as kind of the afterthought because, well, let's face it, Indy cars were built to go through that corner. So more or less you build your setup to be better in turn 1 or turn 3, depending on the way about it. Most builders tend to favor turn 1 over turn 3, and so that means the aero wash through turn 3 is just usually pretty doggone awful.
Yeah, you like entry of turn 3, you want to do whatever you can to avoid following someone directly through the corner. Just offset completely every single time if you can.
Speaking of these offsets, here's Stephen Lee. He's going to work to the bottom. Andrew Surawak going through turn number 2, and there's that aero wash. Surawak up at the top. He was able to keep clean air on the front of that 24. Stephen Lee was on the bottom. He followed the pack through, and really just no grip. You got to lift. You've also got Yari Brubaker back there. He's working on Josh Ward, and Ryan. I would assume, and I'm thinking as we look, and there's Craig Forsyth. He's going to the bottom of, that would be Nate Fields. But again, he just can't quite make that move stick on the bottom. And Craig, he's been fighting right around that 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th spot for the entire race. He dips down, almost hits the apron going through the tunnel. And let's see if he can make this run happen going through turn number 3. Craig desperately wanting to get by Rick Sanchez and get into that top 10. I was curious to note the fuel strategy here, Ryan. Usually you can go 27, 28 laps on a full tank. Did Matty Wags give him a full tank here tonight, or are they operating on short fuel? Do you know?
I believe they are on a full tank tonight.
Gotcha. So fuel run here anywhere between 28 and maybe 30, 31 laps if you're super cautious. If you're Craig Forsyth and get the gas mileage of a Volkswagen Beetle, you might be able to go 32 or 33. The odd race distance, though, it doesn't really lend itself to fuel strategy all that much, does it, Ryan?
Yeah, because unless you could save like Scott Dixon, you're gonna have to take a third stop.
Yeah, I mean you're looking at 105 laps. You're looking at 4 stops. Even if you did 30, you're gonna have to make at least 3. If you do the 28, you're close to 4 stops here. So the one thing that could help that, we've got battled back in the pack Will Stearns. He's working on Rick Sanchez. And there he goes by Rick. He's going to draw a beat on Hugo Galez. Stern's, of course, a winner in the votive series previously here on Wednesday nights. And so, but there goes Will. Back to the front, Mason Mitchum has got some breathing room over Matt Wagner, but look who's crept up to third there, Ryan. Cue the Jaws music.
Da-dum, da-dum.
That is points leader Kyle Clinworth. He's been having a jolly good old time in this series. He's won 3 of the first 4 races. So looking to see if Clindy can keep that going. Wags dives it down to the bottom through turn number 3. And I think he's going to have enough to clear him coming off of 4. Is Mitchum going to be able to pull the crossover? Looks like he's got the momentum coming down there off the bottom. They're even halfway down the front straight. Clinworth looking to opportunistically maybe sneak back by. Wags cannot hold on, though. He's going to slide back into second. We do want to thank everybody out there who's watching. 10% of this race nearly already gone. We do have quite a few people watching in the audience tonight. Do want to thank you for that. Dirty Kauai, hello. The dirty air is filthy. You are exactly right. Lith Fox, we'll go ahead and bring Lith up. Lith did have a touch of the wall early, but there's Lith Fox running along 14th. Doesn't appear to be any sort of damage or handling issue with that machine. We'll continue to check on your favorites throughout the race, but there's Lith Fox running along 14th. If you have not already done so out there, make sure you click the like button on the video and ring the bell to subscribe to the channel. That is the easiest and best way that anybody can help us out there. We definitely do appreciate it in our drive for 1,000 subscribers. If you like, you can also send us a super chat, and we definitely would appreciate that. That's available to you. And there is a GoFundMe link in the description if you'd like to contribute to the channel more broadly. Working lap 11, coming to 12, and I almost think that Wagner and I almost wanted to think that Wagner and Mitchum were swapping back and forth there. Mitchum has now been passed by Matty Wags, and I don't think he's going to be able to come back this time. Wagner finally able to make the clear, make the pass. He's going to go out to the lead in the Richie Hearn, John Della Penna liveried machine. We'll get a closer look at that. That's a good looking car, isn't it, Ryan?
Yeah, and he's getting passed again.
Yeah, and that's something that can be done here at Pocono. We haven't really touched on it, but if the front two guys want to work together and kind of be, if the front guys want to kind of work together, they can almost hold those front 2 spots indefinitely. Wagner, though, gets a huge clearance off of Mitchum, and he's going to fall victim to the third place runner of Kyle Clinworth. Paul Ascori checking in. Clindy, right on cue. Your man goes right to second place, and he'll begin the hunt to track down leader Matt Wagner. Clindy started 5th. He was on the provisional pole. He made it to 3rd by the end of the first lap. Kept his powder dry, let the front sort itself out. He has now made it past Mason Mitchum, and he looks to begin tracking down the machine of Matt Wagner.
Yeah, it tends to work like that here at Pocono, where if you lose one spot, you're normally open to lose another one.
Yeah, it's entirely a momentum-based track. Really is. It's very difficult to hold your spot if you lose momentum. Jari Brubaker and Nick Wheeler have both made pit stops early on in this one, and that's Jari. He's already going to go a lap down here to leader Matt Wagner. There's Clindy working his way around Jari. Next up on the hit parade is going to be Mason Mitchum. We've talked about Mitchum a lot. We'll kind of look in on some other drivers that are running through the field. That's Frank Wynn in the multicolored number 97. He is going to go by Mitchum, and you wonder if Mitchum didn't hurt the tires a little bit in his battle with Clindy there, because Mitchum is definitely fallen back. So Wynn gets by him. He's going to go to 3rd. Here's Sheridan Wade. He is the orange and teal machine immediately behind Mitchum. And so there's Sheridan, the number 50. He runs along in 5th. Give a shout out to our good friend Gary Lovern. You see him all over the P1 Broadcasting Network in the Velocity Online Racing entry in 6. Good early run for Gary. And then my nemesis from last night in the Area 51 race, that's Edson Santos in the 20, the leaner energy machine. He's behind Gary. He's looking to the outside, and we might stick with this one for a second because it appears as though Edson's building up a run and going to try to make a move here. There he goes, down to the bottom into the tunnel turn. Gary Lovern is just going to give best and move Edson Santos to 6th. Gary Lovern to 7th, and that's kind of how it usually works around here, Ryan. If a guy gets a run on you, especially going into the tunnel turn, you almost just say, all right, you got it, because it's not worth, especially 17 laps into a 105 lapper. It's not really worth fighting that move, is it?
No, not really, because especially you could immediately plan your counterattack. You could, make sure that you stay close into the run to 3, take a different line, get right up to his attenuator on exit, and just draft past him down the front straight.
Yeah, you certainly can. There is a massive battle going on behind them. This is Walter Macias that we're looking at. He's got a boatload of trouble in the form of Craig Forsyth and Nate Fields behind him. This is the battle for 8th, 9th, and 10th. The nighttime Team Cool Green, the cool ice colors on the 55 of Walter Macias, famously driven by who, Mr. King?
Ooh. Can't remember off the top of my head right now.
That would be Paul Tracy. He drove this car in night races, and then I think Franchitti also might have driven it a time or two in the daytime. But mostly the blue and gray cool car was the domain of Paul Tracy in the Team Green days. Beautiful looking car. Of course, multiple tobacco brandings here tonight. 40 Racewear takes the place of Players Cigarettes on the very familiar Team Forsyth car there for Craig Forsyth. We've got another car coming off a pit lane. That's going to be Donnie Battiest. Josh Ward has also been into the pits. He was on pit lane for a minute 20, and so that's either a speeding ticket or he accrued some damage. And I think these are scheduled stops from some of those guys in the back. The math works out that this is about the earliest the window can open, and so they appear to be taking their chances. Maybe stop a little bit early. Maybe they can make up some time by being in the draft. Yari Brubaker certainly proven that. He's right there with the leaders. Nick Wheeler has gotten out ahead of Matt Wagner, and there you see Wheels. He's 20th. He's 38 seconds off the lead, but that's still 4 or 5 seconds ahead of Matt Wagner. So, if he can get out there, if Wheeler can get out there and he can run some fast laps, his last time through the track, 42.792, to Wagner's 42.574, but he's faster, Wheeler is, than the cars he was racing around as he glitches out there, comes back. No harm, no foul there for Nick Wheeler. But if he's able to go faster than the guys he was around previously, that's going to move him up the running order once everybody makes their pit stops, Ryan.
Yeah, and as we mentioned before the race, track position is king here, and you can make up a lot of spots just by running fast on your own and timing your pit stop just right.
You are 100% correct. Clindy has really been after closing that gap on Matty Wagner here over the last 3 or 4 laps. He's got it down to just a handful of car lengths. He's running that really wide line through turn number 3 that I really, really do prefer. And, kind of watch. We're going to get the P1 airship up here just to kind of show it. The difference in lines, Wagner all the way down to the bottom. Clindy is playing the high to low game through turn number 1. They'll go down the Long Pond straightaway. Clindy should close up through here. We'll see if there's an offset. Wagner does a bit of the snake. Clindy offsets him through 2. And then watch the difference in lines through turn 3, folks. Wags is going to go down to the bottom, and Clindy's going to hang it right up next to the fence. Wagner gets the advantage early in the corner, but Clindy is going to have a huge run coming down the front straight. Right on the nose of Kyle Clinworth. We've got more pit stops, by the way. Nate Fields has been to the pit lane. Alex Miller, he'll run the fastest lap. And Ryan, I kind of wonder if Clindy's not trying to save a bit of fuel here. I don't think Wags is saving anything, but it wouldn't surprise me if Clindy wasn't playing the long game a little bit.
Yeah, because pretty much that's one of the advantages you have as a following car, that you have that freedom to save fuel. And as I say that, Wagner's coming in.
Here he is. We'll cover the pit stop. Matty Wagner is going to come to the pit lane. He is followed down the pit road by Sheridan Wade, and so we're going to see 2 of the top 5 hit the pit lane here at lap number 24 of 105, and it's going to be worth covering just to kind of see where they come out. Remember, Nick Wheeler made his pit stop early. Wheeler was about halfway. I think he was running in the middle of that pack. Wheeler came out. He was 37, 38 seconds. Matt Wagner, a lightning quick stop, 8.3 seconds. He's going to come back out. Sheridan Wade going to come out behind him. Wade is not going to retain the draft, though. Wagner already back up on the speedway. Sheridan Wade nowhere to be found. He's just now getting up to speed. And that shot tells the story. Tells the story, Ryan. Wagner came out 33 seconds back, and we're going to see what he can do in terms of speed over the lightning quick Kyle Clinworth.
Yep, just run your laps. Don't worry about don't sweat about what the people at the front of the pack are doing. It'll all shake out.
It most certainly will. So again, just kind of make a mental note. Matt Wagner, 33 seconds and some change behind. You've got more cars making their pit stops. Will Stearns on the pit lane. Andrew Surwack, Mason Mitchum, Gary Lovren, Eric Peterson. They're all hitting. They're all going to hit pit road along with Rick Sanchez, and so it's feeding time at the zoo. If you go down in the pit lane here at Pocono, the top 9, down to Brian Greenlee have not stopped. We're watching leader Kyle Clinworth. Do want to thank Turner Johnson. Caution is on the speedway.
Let's see.
I'm looking to see if I can't find it. It appears to be Josh. Well, Josh Ward's car is broken on the pit lane, but it does not appear to have been him that was involved in this one. Well, it was. I take that back. I stand corrected. Josh Ward, who was already a couple of laps down, he had pitted earlier. Going into the tunnel turn, he's behind Will Stearns, and that is going to be Stearns gets into the outside wall, shoots across the nose of Josh Ward. Stearns, hard impact for Josh Ward. Stearns is going to go into the outside retaining wall. Both of those cars, heavy damage. And it's going to be night done for Josh Ward and Will Stearns. I don't know if Josh Ward is punched out. Will Stearns is trying to limp it back to pit lane. You do have a fast repair in this league, and so that's why you're seeing Will Stearns try to limp this thing back. He doesn't want to tow. He's already a lap down. He doesn't want to lose another.
Yeah, you don't want to go any further down, and that's the thing about the tunnel turn. Anytime an incident happens there, it happens fast because it feels like a street course on the exit of that corner, where if something happens, you have little to no time to react.
Yeah, I mean you're spot on there. The rest of the field is going to come to pit lane, and that is going to be advantage to everybody who has already stopped. At Pocono, if you can pit and not lose a lap, that is a big time advantage. So the guys who've already stopped, now they're going to have a lap or two on their tires, but the guys have already stopped. They're going to go straight to the front. Kyle Clinworth is going to come out ninth here. Do want to thank Turner Johnson for poking his head in the chat. Yeah, you do. You do need to get in the Horizon League. This is a fun show. Do want to thank you for your compliments on the broadcast. Thank you for joining in. Keep the chats coming. Clindy is going to beat them all off of pit road, and it appears as though he is going to come out 7th. So he'll win the race off. Wagner, Wade, Surawak, Brupiker, Peterson, and Lovern are already are the guys that are still out. Remember, Yari was fighting for his life to stay on the lead lap. He did it. He's now 4th, but I got to believe that with 15 laps since his last visit to the pit lane, I got to believe that Yari's probably going to stop and put on a new pair of shoes.
Yeah, that would seem to be the go-to strategy.
He got his lap back, and I think that was his main idea there. But now that that's happened, I got to believe that Yari's going to bring it down pit road. Caleb Brashear has informed us that there has been a massive accident in the top split of the iRacing IndyCar Series. So be interested to hear more about that. We're here at Pocono, of course. I do not have that race up. We're watching Yari Brubaker to see if he pulls it down pit road. He's following Surawak and Wade. And then you've got a whole host of cars in front of Matt Wagner up here. That's going to be Fields, Sanchez, and Fields and Sanchez are up there, as is Donnie Battiest. They're going to try to get a lap back. Will Stearns retains his spot 1 lap down. So Fields, Sanchez, and Battiest are going to get waved back onto the lead lap. That means we're still going to have 21 cars on the leader lap here. Will Stearns 1 lap down. Josh Ward out of the race as we reset it for you. Do want to thank everybody watching out there. If you have not already done so, make sure you hit the like button on the broadcast. Ring the bell to subscribe to the channel. We do appreciate those things. We do also have super chats available. If you want to throw Ryan, Eric, King, or I a couple of bucks, that's always welcome. And then there's a GoFundMe link in the description if you wanted to support the channel as a whole. So do appreciate any and all of those things. But the main thing, make sure you subscribe. I know about half the people out there watching are not subscribed to the channel. And if you want to help us continue to grow, that is the easiest, best, and most above all, free way that you can do it. Are we? The lights are out on the pace car, Ryan. So we're going to have a restart here. Do you think that Wagner, Wade, Surawak, those guys are at any sort of a disadvantage here, given that they've already got a few laps on their tires? Or you think they were in clean air and they probably didn't hurt them that badly?
I think I'm in the latter camp, because if their stint were a bit longer before the yellow came out, they would definitely be at a disadvantage. But it was only 2 laps before the caution came out, so I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, the one that I would be worried about there would be Yari Brubaker. I mean, yeah, he's got a caution, 4 laps in there. That's going to cool him off. But coming back to get this green flag, he will be 16 laps down on his current run, and so he's going to have to. He's halfway home on his current stint. Barney throws the green flag out, and racing here at Pocono is going to resume. They didn't do the fan out that time.
I think that's going to be to the advantage of the leaders.
Yeah, the good jump there from Wagner and Wade. Surawak 3rd. He's under fire from the aforementioned Yari Brubaker. And give a call down to Gary Lovern. He's worked his way into 5th. Meanwhile, Eric Peterson and Kyle Clinworth, they're going to go after it for 6th and 7th. Clindy gets by on the bottom. He works his way into 6th over Peterson, and Frank Wynn, he's going to try to follow that through as well.
And they are side by side up front, which is going to punch a massive hole in the air for Surawak in 3rd.
Yeah, Andrew Surawak sharpening the knives. He sees Wagner, and you see Wagner and Wade go side by side the whole length of the front straight. If you weren't on their gearbox to begin with, you're going to be by the end of that long front straightaway here at the Pocono Raceway. Wagner working to the outside of Wade, going through the tunnel turn. They'll set up for turn 3.
See Wagner peeking up the inside, but he isn't able to get clear.
You got to watch it there if you're Sheridan Wade. We're watching the battle for the lead. You got to be careful if you're Sheridan Wade going all the way up next to that wall. People have been known to touch that, and when you do that, that can shoot you back left in front of the entire field. So you got to be careful not to knock down the wall over there off of turn number 3. Looking back, Lith Fox has made their way past Nick Wheeler and Stephen Lee. So Lith Fox going to draw a bead on Craig Forsyth. There is a gap there of about 10 or 15 car lengths, but Lith Fox looking at Craig Forsyth. And speaking of Forsyth, he is all over the rear wing of Alex Miller. Go right on the roll hoop of the driver of the number 99 Forsyth Gaming 40 Racewear machine. There he is. If you wanted to check out Craig, you can go to that YouTube handle and watch his in-car, which Craig does something during races that Ryan, it is quite fun to watch him drive. Have you ever watched his stream?
A handful of times.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed when he's in a battle, he leans all the way over in his seat to the left? Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah, almost like he's trying to will his car around the corner.
He willed it right in the fence.
Oh!
He hears us talking about him. Craig Forsyth touched the wall. I don't think that's going to hurt anything. He does have Lith Fox right to his inside after that brush of the fence. Craig going to pull it all the way down across the front straightaway, trying to keep Lith Fox behind him. Fox going to dive it down to the inside here and complete that pass. And yeah, oh no, he was in the fence. We saw that. I don't think it hurts anything. These cars are fairly robust. We're talking about Kyle Clinworth. He was battling. He was very much battling with Eric Peterson earlier. Peterson has got back by the points leader, so Clindy, he'll move back to 6th. He's going to come. He's got a mirror full of Gary Lovren, but he's going to have to be careful. He does not want that group that is right in front of him, and that's the group right up here, to escape him. And that's a pretty decent distance that Clindy's back. It's about half a second.
Yeah, it's still in the toe, but that's still a long ways back.
It is, and even though these straightaways are pretty long here, that's one mistake away from being in a position where you can lose the draft. You don't lose it until you get out more than about 1.3 seconds. The but, though, is the further away you get, the less powerful it becomes, and you do not want to be a second behind the guy in front of you when he is, 2 or 3 tenths behind the guy in front of him.
Oh, without a doubt.
Watching from the old school Bobby Rahal lipstick camera, right on the nose of the Votive Racing League Rogue Racing entry for Kyle Clinworth. He's going to go to the inside of Eric Peterson one more time into the tunnel. Can Clindy make it stick?
Oh, in front of him.
We got Sheridan Wade in the wall. Trying to get to Sheridan. There it is.
Right, man,
we're going to have a caution.
Now the caution comes out.
Now the caution does finally come. You're right. Tough break for Sheridan Wade, and let's see what happened. He was racing Jari Brubaker here. Into the tunnel turn, and he just kind of misjudged coming down behind Jari. They make contact left front to right rear. Sheridan Wade goes hard into the fence. We're going to give it one more look, this time from the cockpit of Sheridan Wade. And let's see what we can see here, Ryan. Into the tunnel. Get up on the roll bar. Let's hide the scoring stand, and you can just see it. I think he was trying to get him behind him, and he just might have misjudged it a little bit. But a tough break, Sheridan Wade. He'll come in and get the fast repair, but that's gonna hurt his chances. He was able, or should have been able, I would say, and there he is. He's going to be able to drive it back. The Indy 1 Racing Team machine. He's going to be able to drive it back, but heavy damage to the right side of the 50.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. You just run too close next to someone in turn 2, and whether it be actual or netcode, you make contact, and it heavily impacts your race.
It does indeed. We've got the camera on Jari Brubaker with 24 laps on his current run. I would be willing to bet that Jari is going to pull this baby down pit lane and avail himself of the opportunity to get fuel and tires. We'll see who else joins him. Peterson is going to come in. And then pretty much everybody from Lithfox on back is going to take the opportunity here. So we're going to have a split strategy race. And Ryan, that pretty much always happens here, doesn't it?
Yeah, there always tends to be caution relatively early on, and half the field takes and half the field stays, and you kind of have to hope that the way the race plays out, that the cautions sort of fall in your favor, and you're able to play out the rest of the fuel strategy.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the name of the game here at Pocono. Watching the race off a pit road, Jari Brubaker wins it. He's going to come out in the lead of that group that just stopped. Your top 10 did not. So Wagner, Surratt, Clinworth, your top 3. Frank Wynn and Gary Lover are going to round out the top 5. Edson Santos, Alex Miller, Nick Wheeler, Brian Greenlee, and Mason Mitchum. That is the top 10, and none of those cars did stop under that last yellow. Under this yellow, Matt Wagner has been out the longest, 14 laps on his current run. Andrew Surratt, 13 laps. Gary Lover, 12. Everybody else has been out in even 10 laps. Leading the alternate strategy, Jari Brubaker in 11th, followed by Craig Forsyth, Walter Macias, Eric Peterson, and Stephen Lee. Lith Fox is 16th, Rick Sanchez 17th, Hugo Gall is 18th, Sheridan Wade 19th, Nate Fields is 20th, Donnie Battiest 21st, Will Stearns has taken the lucky dog. He is back on the lead lap, 22nd. That is all 22 runners. Josh Ward has punched out of the number 92, and he will be credited with 23rd today. Do want to thank everybody who's joining us in the P1 Broadcasting chat tonight. It's very active, and that's always awesome to see. If you haven't already done so, make sure you click like on the video and ring the bell to subscribe to the channel. Those are the two easiest and best ways that you can help us out here at the P1 Broadcasting Network. And both of those things are absolutely free of charge. If you wanted to toss us a couple of bucks and you wanted to untie my tongue, we do have super chats available, and there is a GoFundMe link in the description to support the channel more broadly. Dirty Quai wants to know, is he weird for assuming that any net code within a foot or 30 centimeters is safe to assume that contact is likely? That depends on the net code. I would say, I mean, we've seen contact that's enough to cause massive crashes where you have more than a foot between the cars. And then we've seen apparent contact from cars be forgiven. Right, so
yeah, it feels like a throw of the dice at 220 miles an hour.
It does. Now, I will say this: iRacing is the absolute best in the world for online gaming, simulation gaming, and what is termed as netcode. And netcode exists in every form of esport. You see, guys in Call of Duty, for example, exploit netcode all the time. iRacing is infinitely better than that. But it still occurs, and the thing that you need to know about netcode is that the probability of netcode increases with speed. And so you don't see stock car netcode very much. These cars are going 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour faster, and so the occurrence of netcode is far more likely. But yeah, you can't slam in each other in these cars. You want to keep a distance. And most of your top runners, and Ryan can agree or disagree with this, are going to account for netcode depending on who they're racing against. Green flag is back in the air, though, from Barney. The race is back on 39 of 105, 40 working lap, 39 of 105 complete working lap 40. Ryan, anything to add on the netcode discussion?
I pretty much agree with you, where us in the car, we could see what the ping for everyone else is, so we know how close we could run each other. We know who to stay away from because their ping is like higher than 120.
Yeah, and so it's not necessarily something, Dirty Quai, where you can assume or not assume netcode based upon what you're seeing on your screen. That's an iRacing judgment. And sometimes you'll see cars, they'll hit each other hard, and then all of a sudden, whoop, iRacing decides there wasn't a collision. And then other times you'll see guys go flying and there was a foot between them. So it just really depends. Wagner, you're watching Wagner and Surwack work over each other here at the front. Surwack way up against that outside wall, Ryan.
Oh, just incredible stuff, and especially here at Pocono with the restarts, you have to make up your positions fast because the dirty air, it feels like the dirty air gets thicker and thicker the longer runs go.
It does. The more heat gets in the tires, the less grip you have. The dirty air gets worse and worse and worse. We're watching Matt Wagner, Andrew Surwack, and Kyle Clinworth lead this thing. They have a bit of a gap over Gary Lovern and Frank Wynn in 4th and 5th. And then there's another, 5 or 10 car lengths back to Alex Miller and Edson Santos. The battle, though, is raging right around 10th place. Now, this is where the split in the strategy occurred. That's Mason Mitchum. He is dueling with Jari Brubaker. Craig Forsyth, Walter Macias is involved in this. The cars of Brubaker, Forsyth, and Macias, they desperately want to get by that Velocity Online, not the Velocity Online racing machine, excuse me, the Votive Racing League machine of Mason Mitchum. They want to get going here. They need to get going because if they don't, their tire advantage is rapidly going to go away.
Yeah, they're going to be a big problem because yes, while their tire advantage will go away, it'd also be harder for people behind them to get past them. So you want to make up those positions and essentially lock in your position.
Yeah, you do. And the other thing is, when those guys that have been out there now 19 laps for Matty Wagner, so he's looking at pit stops. He's looking at pit stops here within the next, based on his prior schedule, anywhere from the next 5 to 10 laps. You want to be as close, and Forsyth awfully close to Nick Wheeler there. I don't know if Wheeler got in the wall, but if he didn't, he was awfully close. We're going to go back and watch that one again. Get on the roll bar of the 88 of Nick Wheeler, and there you see it. If you look left, you may see a light blue and white front wing creep into your picture.
Yeah, he definitely got hip checked into the wall there.
Yeah, I mean, Craig's coming up off the bottom, and there it is, side pod to side pod, tap of the wall for Nick Wheeler. He continues to truck on, but that's a good lick for Nick Wheeler. We're seeing him now. He's under fire from Stephen Lee. Lee, of course, a regular participant in the Tuesday night IndyCar Oval Top Split broadcast. There you see Stephen Lee. He's moving along there in 12th now. And he has caught that battle between Forsyth and Brubaker. They were not able to get by Mason Mitchum, who continues. And Mitchum is pretty far up the road. They've almost lost Mitchum's draft. Frank Wynn sets the fastest lap. Matter of fact, at a second and a half behind Mason Mitchum, Jari Brubaker has lost the draft. And so that's unfortunate for these guys that have those new tires. Nick Wheeler really the loser in that whole battle. Not only is he on the older tires, but he has lost the draft, he's lost his track position, and he's going to have to be among the first on pit road.
Yeah, just, the hole gets deeper. Obviously, you don't want to lose the draft here. Hopefully, maybe with the pit cycle, you can catch the draft back up. Beyond that, you're just hoping for a caution.
Yeah, you're 100% right there, Ryan. For Forsyth and Brubaker, it might behoove them to start working together because they definitely need to get up and catch Mason Mitchum. They're 1.6 seconds back. They're losing anywhere between a tenth to 0.2 of a second a lap by not being in that draft.
Yeah, and the only way this alternate strategy is going to work out is if they stay with that draft. They need to put the leaders a lap down when they come in the pits.
Well, I don't know that you're going to be able to put the leaders a lap down necessarily, but you want the gap to be as minimal as possible, because here any way you slice it in 10 laps, Jari Brubaker is going to be leading this race. Craig Forsyth is going to be second. Stephen Lee is going to be third. And so you need to be as close as you can, because when these guys stop up here, watching Mason Mitchum, he's pulling up, and right as I cut away, Stephen Lee pulls out on Craig Forsyth. He'll go to the bottom in the tunnel, and we'll see if Stephen Lee can make this one stick. Dirty air, not his friend. Stephen Lee has to fall back in line, but it's one of those things where you're not going to be able to put them a lap down, I don't think, but you don't want them to get an advantage. The further ahead they are, that means the more they're going to be able to leave you. And so, you want to try to keep up with him if you can. Stephen Lee, desperate to get that pass done on Craig Forsyth. Forsyth, by the way, did use the fast repair when he came to pit road. So just to kind of button that up for you, he did have damage and he did use it. The fast repairs used out there, by the way, since we were talking about fast repairs, there you see it. Mason Mitchum has used his, as has Craig Forsyth and Sheridan Wade. Also, Will Stearns has used the fast repair. So that's the status on that. We are 50 laps into a 105 lap affair, getting close to halfway here, Ryan Eric King.
Yeah, and that's when you start mentally planning your fuel strategy from the finish back.
Most certainly do. Watching the battle with Forsyth and Lee. Let's get back to Matty Wagner. Let's take a tour of Pocono here with Matt. We'll get.
I think Wagner's coming in.
Yeah, so we'll see how you get to pit lane here at Pocono. Hard on the brakes. There he is, down to 55 miles an hour, the speed limit. There's the number 6. We'll cover the stop, and again, it's worth doing that because we want to see where Matty Wagner comes out. Once he does that, we'll jump on board with either Surowac or Clinworth, and we'll get you a tour around Pocono here. Let's just see what it's like to drive one of these things around here. There's Wagner. He's in the pit box. Car goes up on the jacks. 4 tires going on, full of Shell Racing fuel. 8.2 seconds in the box, down and away. 34.2 on the pit lane itself. A fast stop for Matt Wagner. He's going to roar back onto the speedway, go up through the gearbox, and he's going to come out healthily ahead of Andrew Surowac. And there's Surowac. And let's get on board with the leader and show the fans what it's like here at Pocono, Ryan. We're coming down through turn 2, back straight into turn 3. You're looking about where Andrew Surowac's left eyeball would be. Well, he's in turn 1, down the long pond. Now this is the backstretch. All the way high. Now, Surowac does have the option. He can choose whatever line he prefers. He clearly will prefer up next to the wall, and don't know if he didn't get too high there. Down the front straightaway, you're going to see 220 miles an hour almost. 218. He'll go all the way down to the yellow line through turn 1. Nice big arc. Come back out to the wall. As the leader, that's his prerogative. He gets to use all of it. He's going to do more or less the same thing through turn 2 here. You have to mind the apron though here, Ryan. We'll see at least one accident. I'm surprised we haven't, from a guy touching the apron. Down the back straight through turn number 3. And Andrew Surowac is also going to dive onto pit road.
Yeah, you don't want to touch the apron here because it'll definitely pitch your car into a spin. Though in turn 3 you can nibble at the curb on the inside. It'll kind of help the car rotate a bit.
It'll help it rotate, but you got to be careful with that because you can help it over rotate and wind up backwards into the into the fence over there off the exit. Watching the pit stop for Andrew Surowac. Remember, Matt Wagner 34.2 on the pit lane, 8.2 in the box. Surowac a tenth of a second quicker in the box, 8.1 seconds on his stop. He's going to come out of the pit lane. He is away He was 3/10 of a second slower, than leader Matt Wagner on and off a pit road. And that's going to be huge because Wagner is going to get out there. And if I'm not mistaken, Wagner has escaped the draft envelope of Andrew Surwack. 1.8 seconds now, the difference between the two, and that's growing Surwack not yet up to speed.
Oh, and that is not good for his ambitions.
No, it's really not. We'll go ahead and focus back on the lead because Kyle Clinworth is in a dogfight. He's got Frank Wynn, Alex Miller, and Edson Santos. And you just saw the pop-up, race fans. As we went just past halfway, Edson Santos set the purple lap. So he's the fastest man in Pocono right now. Edson Santos, the front four right together. Gary Lovern, he's going to peel it off a pit road. Matt Wagner, by the way, 32.9, almost 33 seconds behind Forsyth. Peterson, Wade going ahead of Lovern, as is Macias and Fox. Gary Lovern falling down the order by virtue of sitting on the pit road there. This group, though, they're going to be in any moment. Santos goes to third over Alex Miller. And then, that deal with Mitchum and Brubaker and all those guys fighting, they have fallen 4 seconds behind this quartet. Frank Wynn going to dive it for pit lane. Now, here's why you pit early. Kyle Clinworth, the last time through, 42.689 on his pit stop, or on his lap. My man Ryan, you got any guesses as to Matt Wagner's last lap speed?
Oh, let's see. Oh, I'm not sure. I know it had to be, in terms of time, it had to be like in the low 42s, like 42.2.
Yeah, the front three are going to stop. So this trio has now come to pit lane. And let's see where Matty Wags comes out in relationship to him. The last lap through for Wagner, 42.361. So he's getting these guys 2 3/10 of a second a lap. They needed to come to pit road, and they certainly did so. But they made it 30 laps, so they're going to have 57 to go. They are well inside. Everybody's well inside, or should be well inside, the number to make it. Wagner might be the only one that is slightly marginal. He may need to save a little bit, but he's got a titanic lead, really, over Andrew Surwack. He gets past Clindy, Santos, and Alex Miller as they're parked on pit road. They're actually exiting pit lane, and those three drivers are going to fall big time behind Matt Wagner here. Wagner, 2.5. He's going to wind up about 2.6, 2.7 seconds ahead of Clindy. As they try to get up to speed here. 2.7 is where that interval is going to settle. Surwack, by the way, was so far back off of the pit lane that he fell into the group with Clinworth and Santos. So Wagner all by his lonesome here. And through all that, the lead gets turned over, just as we thought, to this bunch. Stephen Lee, he's going to be your leader over Eric Peterson, Craig Forsyth, and Sheridan Wade. Yari Brubaker has brought his machine to the pit lane, and Stephen Lee does have an advantage. If you look out the front of Stephen Lee, just up ahead, you can see him, and if you can see him, he's probably helping you. That's Nick Wheeler. Wheeler is about a second and a half away from going a lap down, but that's helping Stephen Lee because he's benefiting from the draft of Nick Wheeler. So that helps them in their squabble or their fight with Matty Wagner.
Yeah, without a doubt, where it's like, obviously we're more familiar with the concept in stock car racing, but these cars do tend to travel faster in packs.
Yeah, they do. I mean, you can't bump draft each other. Obviously, you can't smack the guy in front of you. Like we see the closed top guys do at Talladega, Daytona, Atlanta. You can't do that, but they do travel faster in a pack. That's basic. That's basic physics. Stephen Lee is about 0.3 of a second a lap slower than Wagner, These guys also are going to be due in for a pit stop within the next 5 to 8 laps, depending on how they want to slice it, which means they're going to have one more stop from here. Wagner and that crew, they're also going to have one more stop. It's going to be awful close to see where they come out. With a 35-second, call it, pit lane delta, you're probably looking at these guys coming out anywhere between 6 and 7 seconds behind Wagner, Santos, Clinworth, and the like. Maybe as many as 10 seconds behind Wagner. And then everybody's going to have one more stop. I will say this, as we continue to ride with Stephen Lee, and he's right down on those rumble strips, even through the grass. And here comes Stephen Lee. He's going to come to the pit lane and turn the lead over to Eric Peterson. I wonder about the fuel status in Matt Wagner's car.
Yeah, because obviously also running alone is less fuel efficient. You have no real opportunity to save.
No, you don't, but I'm just looking at the raw number of laps. Wagner, he's been out for 11. That means he can go, at best case, another 19 laps. That puts him in at lap 82, and by my math, he's about 3 laps short.
Yeah, he would need to come in again.
Yeah, he would need to come in for a splash at the end. So Wags may be looking at this saying, hey, I might need a caution. This crew here might be right on the money. This is Peterson, Forsyth, and Lith Fox. And we'll cover this stop. We'll cover these. Sliding through the box is Eric Peterson. He has to back it up, and you see that occur. So Eric Peterson just now going up on the jacks. Others coming to pit lane. Rick Sanchez, Nate Fields. That's going to turn the lead over to Sheridan Wade. Hugo Gallas is second. Will Stearns is the car you see behind Sheridan Wade. Stearns is a lap down, although he will get that lap back now. Hugo Gallas is the copper or bronze, or however you want to put it, Velocity Online racing car. He's going to pull it down pit lane right behind Sheridan Wade, and that should turn the lead right back over to this man, Matt Wagner.
Yeah, like I said earlier, pit strategy tends to shake itself out, and if you're fast, you're fast.
You got that right. If you're fast, you're fast, and he is right now about 3.4 seconds faster than the battle that just will not stop behind him. You've got Edson Santos just went by Kyle Clinworth, and I gotta kind of wonder, are Clindy and Santos working together? Because Santos drove by Clinworth down the front. Now Clinworth going to go by Santos down the long pond. Surawak is making no attempt to go past either of them. Santos is going to build the run going into 3, and I bet he's going to go right back by. He's going to go right back by Kyle Clinworth down the front, or at the end of the front. The thing is, those cars are still 0.2 of a second, a tenth of a second now this time through, slower than the leader, Matt Wagner. So it still tells me these guys are still saving fuel. Matty Wags isn't saving nothing.
Oh. I think they realize what the fuel predicament is, about how far they need to go to make it on one more stop.
Yeah, they know exactly. Well, they've got 7 laps in hand over Wagner anyway. So I think, from their perspective, again, if you figure 20 more laps, they'll pull in at 86. That's going to mean they go another. That means that they only have 19 laps to the end, where Wagner is going to, he's going to have, he's been out 16, so he's going to be pulling in lap 89, 90 at most. These guys here, they may be looking at gas only. I mean, they're not going to make it to the end, but they may be looking at gas only, maybe just a fuel stop. Certainly Wagner's going to be on the pit lane longer, and he's going to see much of that 3.7 second lead that he's built evaporate because of the longer pit stop.
That is true. Even though we've seen it in the lap times how important fresh tires can be here. I personally wouldn't chance it.
You know, it's an interesting conundrum. Now, the thing is with Wagner, and we'll put Matt back up here because you see the number 6 machine. Yeah, he's out there, and yeah, he's been out there 17 laps on his current run. But if you look out the front of that car, there is nobody in front of him. And I bet you if we look off the gearbox, that's the group chasing him, and they are very tiny. They are very tiny behind him. But the main thing is there's nobody in front of him to throw him the dirty air. So yeah, he's out there running. He's running laps and he's running hard. But what he's not doing is really putting any stress on his tires.
That is very true. You don't have to fight any dirty air. You have all the grip that you could want. You could ease in and out of the corners.
Yeah, and speaking of ease, I did want to point out that it is picturesque and perfect weather here at Pocono tonight. 71 degrees on the track, 150 or 71 in the air, 115 on the track. Just a small breeze out of the north, moderate humidity, no cloud cover. You could not have ordered, and not like Matty couldn't have ordered it, but you could not have ordered better weather for a car race. It is perfect. Operating.
It is a Chamber of Commerce Sunday.
If only it was this nice every year at the Indianapolis 500, where usually it's about 90 degrees in the air. And I remember in college one year, and I'll tell this story because it's a good one. I remember in college, we were down sitting in the infield, Ryan. Let's get the weather off and get back to this battle for second. Wagner, 4.2 seconds ahead now. But one of the local TV stations, and I can't remember which one it was, they brought one of those surface reading thermometers down in the infield, and they happened to interview a group of fraternity brothers from Ball State University, and they opened the segment by congratulating my now wife for being one of the smartest people that they had encountered in the infield because she had an umbrella. It was 93 degrees in the air that day, and when they shot that thermometer at my feet, I thought I was going to pass out. It was 135 degrees trackside in the infield, and so heaven knows what the temperature was actually on the speedway itself. It was the hottest Indianapolis 500 on record. So I would kill for a day that was 115 degrees on the track, because I don't know what the track temp was. I can't recall the broadcast. I don't know if that was one that we went back and watched, or if we went back and slept. I do recall that the ice chest was a lot lighter going home than it was going into the racetrack that day for sure.
Oh, without a doubt. Oh, I couldn't imagine being out there.
You know, that's something that we'll have to do, Ryan. I'll have to get you initiated into the ways of the Indianapolis 500 infield one of these days. We're watching Kyle Clinworth. He's battling Edson Santos, Andrew Surwack, Frank Wynn, and Alex Miller. This is positions 2 through 6th. And the reason we're watching this is Matt Wagner, and we'll go ahead and pull Matty Wags up on the screen here momentarily. This man right here is all alone. That train of cars that we were just watching, they barely pop into the camera shot from time to time. Wagner is absolutely demolishing this field right now, consistently 1 to 2 tenths of a second a lap quicker than his compatriots. And so we want to follow where the action is, and the action is around Kyle Clinworth in second place.
And as you say that, Wagner's made the call. He's coming in.
Okay, and so that's 22 laps on his current run. We're going to follow him. Here he comes. He's going to get down pit road in the Richie Hearn John Della Penna liveried machine, reminiscent of the car that Hearn won Rookie of the Year in 1996 at Indianapolis. And you can find Richie Hearn racing quite a bit these days on iRacing. He participates in several leagues, some of those here on the P1 Broadcasting Network. ISRA, one of those. The opportunity to race against Richie every Monday night. So it was a good time having him in the field, and we hope he's out there watching and having a good time himself. Off the jacks and away goes Matt Wagner out of the pits, 34.3 seconds. So he continues his trend of being one of the fastest on and off pit road, 8.1 seconds in the box, pulls it right back on the speedway, and he may have some help, Matt. He may have some help. Uh, Ryan, he's got Donnie Battiest 1.6 seconds in the fifth gear for Wags. That could be huge if he can get behind Battiest there and use him to catapult himself up. That could be bad news for the rest of this field.
Yeah, he could pull himself clear. This is going to be crucial. Based on their pace so far today, he will catch him eventually.
Yeah, well, he's already caught him half a second. It was 1.7 seconds, which is right at the edge of that draft envelope. Wagner down to fourth gear through turns 1 and 2. He is keeping that baby wound up. But you see Battiest, and we're going to put the telemetry up because I want you guys to see the difference in top speed. We watched Surawak go around here. He was by himself. Watch the additional speed that Wagner is going to get from that draft. He's now within 0.6 of a second of Donnie Battiest. And here he comes. He's off of turn number 4 now. 218. Caution is out.
Oh, caution.
And immediately you heard it. Wagner put the clutch in and shut the car off. I do not see anybody falling through the field. Rick Sanchez is on pit road broken, and that's usually an indication that you've had some contact. And there's the tail end of it. We'll see what befell Rick Sanchez.
Yeah, it looks like it was a single car accident.
Yeah, he's going through turn 1 down to the yellow line, and I bet this thing's going to break loose with him coming off the corner. What do you think?
I think he's going to run a bit too far wide.
That's the other thing that can happen to you, and there it is. Slight contact with the outside wall. Shoots you hard into the inside wall. That's a tough angle right across the track. Great job of avoiding it from Mason Mitchum, but heavy damage from Rick Sanchez, and that is going to put him on the pit lane with a tow, fast repair, and all those things. That also means Kyle Clinworth and this crew, they're going to have to pit under caution, and that's going to hand the lead back to whom, Mr. Ryan Eric King?
Oh, let's see. Is it going to be Sarawak in the lead?
Well, it depends. Well, these guys are certainly going to pit. There's 28 laps to go, so they're within the window, we think, to run full goose to the end of the show. Wagner is going to wind up being the leader if they pit. He's already stopped, and just to kind of tie that up, where is Wags? Everybody going to be on pit lane here momentarily. There he is. He's at the back of the field. And I kind of want to get on board with him just to kind of show our fans at home how he's managing the fuel in that car, because he does not have a whole lot of it to be messing with. Normally, you would see guys immediately catch up to the pace car. Old Wagner's taking his sweet old time, isn't he?
Save every drop.
You're right, save every drop. And you hear him putting in the clutch. Taking the car down to 2,900 RPM, which is the minimum. Rest assured, Matty is in fuel 8, which is caution lean. He wants to make sure that he has enough to get to the end of this. I'm actually surprised he's not shutting it off and letting the car just coast with the clutch in. Very close to the pace car, even almost drafting the pace car, which you can do.
Yeah, you can do, but we're really pushing it because you estimated earlier that he's 3 laps short.
I thought he was. I did. I thought he was about 3 laps short.
This is not going to be enough to save 3 laps of fuel. But if there were to be another caution.
If there were to be another caution. I thought he stopped a little bit early in that cycle, so maybe he knows something that we don't know, Ryan. But I thought he stopped a little bit early there. I would have thought that Wags would have run the tank out But who knows? Turner Johnson says bump the pace car. You actually cannot hit the pace car. Otherwise, the pace car would never survive one of these things. The pace car, if you look at it from Matt Wagner, and that's the wrong camera, it looks like a normal car in iRacing, and it has all of the hydrodynamic and aerodynamic effects that a normal car would, except it is hollow. And so one of the ways that I enjoy ruining Gary Godso's immersion is if I'm ever in the lead and he's broadcasting, I will actually drive my car around inside the pace car, which Gary enjoys immensely.
Oh, yeah, I'm 100% sure he enjoys that.
He enjoys that immensely. And speaking of Gary Godso, he is live over on the second stream tonight. We've got dueling streams. The Formula Indy Series is running their lone oval race of their season tonight at Milwaukee. So if you wanted to pull that up on another screen, you most certainly could. And we have an action-packed week planned for you here on the P1 Broadcasting Network. Tonight, of course, Horizon and FIS. Tomorrow night, we're going to have the AMA Series. That's going to be the American Motorsport Association. Sam Crow and I are going to be live from Circuit of the Americas for the Blackmagic Studios Grand National Series. We're going to take Friday off, and then Saturday's the big one. That's going to be the opener of the iRacing IndyCar Series. Gary Godso going to have that one live at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So mark your calendar for that deal. And then Sunday night, we're going to have the Votive Series. They're going to be on the channel for their crown jewel race at Kentucky. It's the Votive Kentucky Indy Derby. How about that? Did you enter that race, Ryan?
No, I did not.
You should have. You should have. There's still time. Talk to Shane Coker.
Green flag.
We'll get you going on that guy. Green flag is back out here at Pocono. We've got 80. We're working lap 80 of 105. Matt Wagner continues to lead it over Edson Santos and Andrew Surwak. But the question is going to be how much fuel is in the tank of that number 6 machine. Does he have enough to continue to lead? It's not the Freedom Factory, Ryan. That reminds me, the Freedom Factory isn't very far from the Murphy Family Southern Command in Sarasota. I need to stop by that joint and pay Cletus a visit next time I'm down. Next time I'm in town.
Let's see. So we're 24 laps out. Do we think Wagner has enough to make it?
That's an awfully good question. 25 to go, actually. We'll get 24 to go coming this time. We're watching 3 wide. That's Frank Wynn, Surwak. Frank Wynn on the bottom, Surwak on the top. Lovern goes through the middle, following Alex Miller. This is a battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th. I don't know. It's going to be awfully close. I don't want to bet against Matty. He's a pretty good friend. He and I raced together in the ISRA and Area 51 series because neither one of us have any of our teammates along. So we've run together in those. We've teamed up for the Dark Horse 2,000 mile ride. I know him pretty well. I don't think he would purposely short himself if that's the question. So maybe he knows he can make it. But that would be an awfully big stretch given what everybody else has done, and given what he's done previously. So, maybe that caution bailed him out. Maybe he's good to go. Maybe he was good to go anyway. Maybe he was gambling. I don't know. But I would find it odd that Matt would gamble like that given his speed advantage over everybody else. Watching Stephen Lee now work to the inside of Frank Wynn, and that's going to open the door for Sheridan Wade to the outside. 3 wide. Into turn 1, here we go, Ryan. Business is starting to pick up.
Yeah, just keep your distance. Keep your distance.
They made it through there. Sheridan Wade got 2 for the price of 1. He's going to jump up to 7th spot. Meanwhile, Gary Lovern is all over the back of Alex Miller. Gary can smell that podium. He's a quiet guy. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet out of that Velocity Online Racing stable. Gary Lovern can smell the podium. He wants it. Problem is he's got Kyle Clinworth right behind him. Clindy has had an up and down day. He started fourth. He's been started seventh, excuse me. No, he didn't. He started fifth. He's led the race. He's been as low as 13th, but he's hung around. He's been amongst the leaders. He's going by Gary Lovern. He'll set his sights on Alex Miller, and Clindy is, for him, it's time to go to the front now. There's no more messing around. You've got enough fuel to make it to the end. It's time for him to go.
Yeah, it's definitely that point in the race. You see it here, you see it at Indianapolis, you see it at Auto Club, where you hit that last stint and everyone makes that big push to try to get every position they can.
Yeah, I mean, you most certainly do. And there goes Clinworth. He's going to go underneath Alex Miller. Now, these two, they're 1.3 seconds behind Santos, so they may need to work that slingshot deal that we were talking about earlier. We'll see if Clindy pulls over and allows Miller to go by down the Long Pond Straight. He does not, and so Clinworth now 1.4 seconds behind Edson. Clindy needs to get going here. Look out the front. Edson Santos rapidly disappearing into the distance, and there comes Wagner onto the pit lane.
Oh. That is unfortunate.
Yeah,
I guess the numbers didn't work out, even though from this point onward he could just go flat out and make it no problem.
Yeah, you're going to go flat out and make it no problem. The problem is, I think everybody else can make it too. They all stopped 8 laps ago. We figured that 28 laps was the outer edge of full goose. They're there, right? And they've had some caution laps under there too.
Yeah. Oh. So that definitely changed how we were envisioning the ending of this race.
Yes, it most certainly does. I do want to thank our fans for the patience out there. I had to go silent for a minute. I managed to spill my beverage, and the wonderful Miss Natalie has saved the day with the delivery of Murphy's oil soap and a little bit of water and some paper towels, and so we're good to go. We're watching Kyle Clinworth. He is now Clindy is now second. Edson Santos has assumed the lead, and Wagner is 32 seconds behind after having led the lion's share of the laps here. It reminds you of the first Pocono race that they had here for the Indy cars when they came back. Marco Andretti dominated that race. As it turned out, he dominated it because they had the fuel turned all the way up. He had to make the extra pit stop and finish well down the running order. The same appears to have befallen Matt Wagner, maybe. Don't know yet, but that's a tough thing. Now, it is 18 laps to go. Clinworth, Santos, these guys, they are right on the edge of their fuel number. Looking at Santos, he is not looking at the telemetry. He is not taking that thing full goose all the way around. Stephen Lee is going to pull his machine down the pit lane as well. So maybe they can't make it. Edson Santos, and you see the numbers on the telemetry. These guys are not exactly. We're going to put the telemetry back up. These guys are not, as Sarawak goes the lead, and we'll watch his stuff. These guys are definitely not going at full goose. Santos 44.1 seconds that time. Matt Wagner 42.5. Now it's not enough. It's not a second and a half a lap. You're still not going to make up the deficit that he's under. But if you got a caution flag, that changes everything again, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think they're trying to save what they can. I think they're marginal, and they're just trying to get it to the end.
Yeah, and this reminds me of an open. It reminds me actually of an IIS race that I participated in here, where you had guys. Eric Peterson slaps the wall coming off of slaps the wall coming off the tunnel turn back there. You saw it at the top of the screen. We're going to keep it here. Sheridan Wade appears to have said, I've had enough of this riding around. I'm just going to go. But that was the decision that I made in that race, running along behind Robert Malechka, Jacob Oster, and Brandon Trano. I pulled out and said, the heck with it. I'm just going to go. It turned out to be the wrong decision. There was no yellow, but had there been a yellow, it would have been the right one. And so, everybody's kind of making their own decisions and kind of trying to figure what the best course of action here is. Sheridan Wade has turned to Wickup. He is now the second fastest car on the racetrack after Matty Wagner. Stephen Lee has come back onto the speedway. He is now 22nd. Rick Sanchez has made his way back out. He has affected the fast repair. He is 2 laps down. 3 laps down. Josh Ward is out of the race in 23rd. We're kind of keeping an eye on the front here because Sheridan Wade has decided it's time to go. He started 6th. He's now leading. He's been as far down as 21st in this race, but he's pulling out a gap. He's about half a second a lap quicker than Surwack, Clinworth, Lover, and that group behind him. And why not, right?
Yeah. If you got the fuel, go for it.
Or maybe he doesn't have the fuel and he's gambling. Who knows? Surwack now goes by Clinworth. I guarantee you Clinworth is working that fuel knob. He's working that. I guarantee you Clindy is working that fuel knob. He is working the gear lever, trying to save every drop of ethanol he can. You see him off the throttle a lot. And he's pulling the old Rob Malechka trick. Do you see that? How he stays in 4th gear for a lot of it, gets it up on the rev limiter, and then takes his foot off the gas. That's kind of a trick here in iRacing. If you the way that it measures fuel consumption is by throttle position, and so if you have a gear stack that's close between 4th, 5th, and 6th, you can put it in 4th gear. You don't have to run full throttle, and you can go nearly as fast in the draft as you can in 5th. So that's why you see Clindy, he's staying in 4th gear as long as possible. Frank Wynn dives it down under Gary Lovern, but he's staying in 4th gear as long as he possibly can, just to try to squeeze every ounce of fuel. The throttle readout here is digital; it's not analog. But I guarantee you, he is. I guarantee you, he's not full. He's not full juice. The other thing that I'd like to point out about the strategy of Sheridan Wade as he sods off into the distance is Sheridan Wade has extracted himself from what is a very difficult way to race. And it's worth mentioning that, Ryan.
Yeah, because it's hard to be in a position where not only are you trying to save fuel in a massive pack of cars, but you also have to keep in mind what's happening with everything else across the field. Because Wagner's coming to stop. He's good to go to the end. So you have to make sure that he doesn't gain too much time on you and the rest of the pack.
Yeah, I mean,
so you have to avoid trying to have a crash.
Yeah, I mean, you're managing the gap to the leader. You're managing the gap to the guy in front of you. You're managing the speed of the entire pack. Now, Andrew Miller appears as though he has decided, or Alex Miller rather, he's decided he's had enough. He's gonna go to the front. Meanwhile, Clindy shoots to the inside, and we're going to keep the telemetry up. He shoots to the inside of Andrew Surwack, and you can almost hear it that he's not going full throttle. Normally, you would not lift for the tunnel turn here. Clindy, massive lift. So he is trying to save every ounce that he can. Will it be enough? Meanwhile, let's go back and look in on Matt Wagner. His last time through, 42.483. So he's still gaining 6, 7, 8 tenths of a second a lap. He's whittled it down to 25 seconds. Still going to run out of time, but is the fuel going to hold out for Wade, Miller, Clinworth, and Surwag at the front?
Yeah, that's kind of the last hope. If you're Wagner, where if they don't make it on fuel, their last handful of laps are going to be even slower than they're going right now.
Yeah, and my thought with that is if you're Wagner and you know you can't make it, why not get to that magic lap where you know you're golden and then just get out of the draft? Because as long as he was out there towing those guys around, it was kind of free fuel. Why not come in if you know you can't make it as soon as the window opens? Watching this battle, this is Alex Miller, Kyle Clinworth, Andrew Surwack, Gary Lovern, Frank Wynn. Ooh, and it looked like Sheridan Wade kind of got in a wall a little bit over there. But it
was a big twitch.
Yeah, it was. But this is very difficult because you're trying to manage fuel, you're trying to manage the gap, you're trying to manage what Wagner's doing, and all the while, you're also trying to not run over the guy in front of you, which is not an easy thing to do. Now, Clindy, by making that move, I think he said, "Look, I think I've got enough. I'm good to rock and roll," and that's usually the mode that you operate in here. You're gonna go and you're gonna save until you know that you're good to go full tilt and then turn it up. With 7 laps to go, it appears as though Clindy has reached that mark where he thinks he's good. We do not know about the fuel status on board the 50 of Sheridan Wade. All these cars stopped at the same time. However, Wade turned it up and went fast first. So was he bluffing or was he good? We don't know the answer to that question. But
we're about to find out.
We are about to find out. Clindy, bluff or not, he's full on the loud pedal, and he's decided it's time to go. So no, I think you should. I think that you should talk to Shane and get an entry going for that votive Kentucky Indy Derby. That'll be a good time. I think I'm going to run it. I know Clindy's going to be in that race. Wags will be there. You should join us, Ryan. You're not doing anything Sunday night, are you? Or are you going to be in St. Pete?
No, I won't be in St. Pete for the season opener. And oh my God, we're running the serpentine to the wall.
Yep. So now the Dragon has started. It is 6 laps to go. Clinworth clearly says, I have enough fuel. I'm going for it. Sheridan Wade did get gobbled up, but Wade is not bowing out. Andrew Miller is right there. Frank Wynn is about ready to join him. And we're going to start weaving all over Pocono here to try to decide it. Miller goes underneath Wade, so put Andrew Miller in a second, and he flirted awfully close with that apron. I'm not so sure he wasn't 2 wheels on it a little bit, but down all the way onto the checkers is Kyle Clinworth. Meanwhile, Wagner is no longer hauling this group in. Since Clindy turned it up, he is now the fastest car on the speedway by a couple of tenths of a second. Alex Miller can hang in the draft, Ryan, but I don't know that he's got anything. He's got anything for the driver of the 11, especially not if he glitches out and gets disconnected there.
Oh yeah, that'd be an inopportune moment to disconnect. With only a handful of laps left, you got to make your move as soon as you can.
Yeah, and you know, it bears mentioning there is no green-white checker here in IndyCar competition. So, you know, if caution comes out now, it ends the race. So if you're Alex Miller and you think you can get past Kyle Clinworth, you don't necessarily want to wait till the last lap because if caution flies, you know, it's going to be over. And you've got guys that are racing hard. You see Andrew Surwack and Edson Santos, they're going after it back there for 5th and 6th. You know, a little bit of wheel contact, a little bit of net code, somebody hits the fence, this baby's over. You know, you don't want to sit there and wait. So if you can make the pass, you need to get going now, coming to 2 to go. Serpentine continues one last time. Rick Sanchez comes off the pit lane.
Oh, Miller clipped the wall.
Yep, that's going to give opportunity to Frank Wynn. Wynn going to dive to the inside, going into the tunnel. You're right, Paula. It is time to fly. Clindy is definitely he's definitely got the boot in it. He's writing his doctoral thesis out there. trying to keep these guys at bay, and he's coming to get the white flag.
Yep, just 2.5 miles to go.
Woo, we've got a car around on the front. Big crash. That's Gary Lovern, Andrew Surwack. There's those two cars. They have got the white flag. So we're gonna race this out. Kyle Clinworth being chased hard by Frank Wynn. Wynn has closed the gap. He's going to have one shot at him probably going into turn number 3, and it's going to depend on what line they all take. Here's Wynn. He's going to pull right back up on the back of Kyle Clinworth going into turn 3. Here goes Wynn to the outside. Frank Wynn to the outside. Kyle Clinworth on the inside. Wynn touches the fence. We come to the line. It's going to be Clindy by about 0.073 of a second.
Oh, went down to the line there. I probably would have approached turn 3 a bit differently, but gave himself a shot at the win.
Yeah, let's go back and look at that finish one more time. It is 100% worth it. So you've got Frank Wynn on the to the back. You've got Kyle Clinworth in the front. This is the battle for the win. They're coming to it, and watch, right? So from the P1 airship, Frank Wynn's going to send it high. Clindy's going to go down to the bottom, and Frank Wynn is going to get the nose ahead here, coming off the corner. He's just going to leave it too wide, I think. He hauled it in there a little bit too fast, and he's going to brush the wall right there. That is all Clindy needs. They're going to come to the line, and that's your margin of victory. Right there we are. So that fisheye is a pretty amazing shot. And then you see Andrew Miller come through in third, or Alex Miller. I don't know why I keep wanting to call him Andrew, but I keep doing that. I need to not do that. Anyway. Your winner tonight at Pocono in the Horizon IndyCar Series, Kyle Clinworth by 0.073 seconds over Frank Wynn. Alex Miller is going to bring it home third. Sheridan Wade fourth. Edson Santos, great run. He'll round out your top 5. Lith Fox is 6th. Yari Brubaker 7th. Craig Forsyth is 8th. Mason Mitchum is going to be 9th. And Hugo Gallas will round out your top 10. In 11th, Will Stearns. He bounced back nicely, didn't he, Ryan?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, he had an early incident for Will Stearns. He's going to bring it home 11th. Walter Macias 12th. Nate Fields 13th. Brian Greenlee 14th. Eric Peterson is going to come home 15th. Andrew Surwack had that late race incident. He's going to be 16th after being up front all day. Matt Wagner, and that's got to be heartbreak for Matty Wags. He had to make the pit stop late for fuel. He comes home 17th. Donnie Battiest 18th. Stephen Lee did the same thing as Matt Wagner. He'll bring it home 19th. And Gary Lovern, he was the second car in that last lap soiree. He comes home 20th. 21st, Nick Wheeler. 22nd, Rick Sanchez. He's 4 laps down. 23rd, and out of the race, Josh Ward. We're going to see if we can't get some replays queued up for our fans. All right. There we are. There's Alex Miller. We'll get the music out of here, Ryan. And do we have anybody in the waiting room?
Oh, Alex is waiting for us. We got Clinworth.
All right, let's go ahead and bring Alex Miller up. Alex, it's Mark Murphy, Ryan Eric King in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy, sir?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Hey, you had an eventful day. You were up front for most of it. Talk about the strategy coming there toward the end. Sheridan had turned it up first and gone. What were your thoughts, and how close was the fuel, and what did you think you needed to do different to maybe get up there and have the challenge for Clindy like Frank had?
So I ran out of fuel probably less than 20 feet after crossing the line. I was that close. So yeah, I kind of at the beginning was like, okay, I'm just gonna kind of save, and then Edson started really backing it down, and I kind of fell back with them, and then decided I think I can make it, and clearly I was at least semi right. And other than that, I think I could have beaten Clendy, but with 2 to go, I clocked the wall off of turn 1, and that kind of sealed my fate. Frankie got a run on me, and that was all she wrote for me because I wasn't going to get back up to them. So it's a bummer, but honestly, with how the first stint of that race went, I think I was 20th at one point, so I was not expecting that. So a good bit of confidence booster to be like, yeah, I'm not actually that bad. I can still run up front. My other 2 podiums weren't a fluke.
No, I mean you were definitely you were worth the price of admission. You started 13th, drove it up to second. At one point, you were 19th on the day, so I think you might win the award for most cars passed. Great run here for Alex Miller. Ryan, do you have anything for tonight's third place finisher?
Ooh, I would say obviously the cautions played a big factor into how the race played out. Before the green flag, did you have a pit strategy in mind? Because it feels like everyone's strategy went out the window that first caution.
So if the race had gone green, I would have 3-stopped it because I think I made it. I was going to pit when the first caution came out. I was in turn 3 when it came out. So that was lap 27. So I would have 3-stopped it if it went green. That was the plan from the beginning.
Ooh, yeah, I assumed a lot of people were going to try to stretch out the 3-stopper.
Yeah, it wasn't actually that hard of a save, honestly. I think I was in map 3, and I wasn't even lifting that hard for most of the first stint, and I was making it. So
yeah, I mean, it all worked. The strategy all worked out to your advantage in the end. Great call, making it 20 feet past the line. That's all that matters, Alex. As is the tradition on the P1 Broadcasting Network. You make the podium, you get the mic. Any friends, family, sponsors you'd like to shout out to, sir? The floor is yours.
Thanks to Matt and all of the people here at P1 for putting on the broadcast and this league. It's very fun racing with the not iRacing setups for a change. And thank you to Taylor Mills for bringing me to Taylor Mills Racing. It's always great hanging out there. A couple of my teammates, Mo and Zach, were kind of vibing in the call with me. They were doing some other league, but they were still hanging out and talking. And other than that, not much. I'm glad I could bring my Pennsylvania Railroad tribute special for Pocono home in P3.
Yeah, heck of a run tonight, Alex. Go celebrate. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy. And we will see you next week.
Hopefully.
Absolutely. We'll get Alex out of the booth here and get him on his way toward the podium celebrations. In second, we're going to have Frank Wynn. And Frank, I'm sure, is a happy camper tonight. See if we can't get Frank Wynn in the broadcast booth. Frank, Mark Murphy, and Ryan Eric King in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, loud and clear.
Hey, that's a switch. Normally I'm garbled and not understandable. So definitely appreciate that. You were up front all night too. You were on the same strategy as Clinworth, and Miller. Alex said he kind of got in the wall a little bit over there with 2 to go. You took advantage. You went by him, and then so close. Talk to us about your last lap, the last lap from your vantage point, and what you might have needed to get that Japan Candy Store car up to the top step.
Yeah, the final few laps were really good for me. Car felt great. I managed the tires pretty well, and I managed the fuel mapping pretty well so that I could be in full mix in the final few laps there. I was like, I don't know how far back I was in the final stint there, but I was knocking them off one by one, lap after lap. And uh, when I got to the top three, Alex and Kyle in front of me, it was just all about picking my spots. And like you said, I took advantage of Alex's mistake there, got past him, and I believe it was 2 laps left that I had to work with to get to Kyle. So I just spent the final 2 laps getting inching closer and closer with the draft, and I had a good run going into turn 3 on the final lap there, and I was planning on ripping the wall full throttle to get the good exit speed, but I was sort of doing all these going all these scenarios through my head, and at that split moment I was like, maybe I should enter turn 3 not as high, maybe like a mid entry, because I figured if I was going to be running the wall the entire time, I guessed and thought that Kyle would have come up a little bit and giving me a little bit of the arrow wash there. So I guess we both had a middle entry, so we were both like sort of going up against each other, and I thought I had a good enough line to keep it flat all the way through the corner. But then I started drifting upwards towards the wall, and I had to do a slight panic lift to keep it off the wall, and I guess that's probably what cost me the race there. But it was a good race. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Going up through the field, managing the fuel, and making some moves that I probably would not have normally have made in other circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, you made the best of your circumstances for sure. Ryan, what do you have for our second place finisher this evening?
Well, you already covered the finish. What was your kind of mindset in that pack of cars when everyone around you starts saving, and when did you decide was the time that you actually had to go, that you actually had enough fuel to make it to the end?
Yeah, quite a for quite a while there. It was sort of a hornet's nest in that big pack. Everyone was like racing too wide. It was almost like a 2x2 rolling start at 220 plus miles per hour. But yeah, I was just sort of like in the pack there. I was just more focused on fuel saving, and I did all my fuel saving early on in that stint. So I did have the help of a fuel calculator to keep the numbers in front of me. So as soon as I saw that I was going to be good on map 1 to the end, maybe perhaps not in clean air because I was still behind everyone, I figured, yes, it's go time. I'm going to utilize the draft to get by everyone, utilize the draft to just save a little bit extra to the end. And yeah, I was knocking them off one by one. And at the end there, it was like I calculated it, I calculated the mapping perfectly because I had under 1 liter left in the tank when I crossed the line. I was doing it wasn't just a constant, map 3, map 4 for several laps. I was adjusting for the situation, and as soon as I found it was going to be good to the end on map 1, that's when I went for it.
Yeah, well, you certainly did go for it, Frank, and almost, but a heck of a show, heck of a run toward the finish. As is the tradition on the P1 Broadcasting Network, you finish on the podium, you get the mic, my man. So, friends, family, sponsors, anybody you'd like to shout out to, the floor is yours. You've got some you've got some friends watching, so let them know.
Yes, of course. First of all, once again, want to thank P1 Broadcasting. You guys do a great job putting the broadcast.
That's a correction.
On YouTube.
That's a correction. Ryan Eric King does a pretty good job. Me, not so much, but thank you for the compliments. Go ahead.
Yep, and of course, want to thank the league organizers of the Horizon IndyCar Series for putting this all together, and want to thank all my viewers on Twitch for watching me and supporting both me and Liv Fox on Twitch, giving us the moral support. This is why we do it. We do it for you. Hopefully, we put on a good show for all of our viewers on Twitch. And again, I want to thank my main primary sponsor, of course, Japan Candy Box. If you have a hankering for Japanese foodstuffs, that's the place to go. Lots of varieties of candy, snacks, cookies, all sorts of things. You'll find it there. And of course, one final thank you, team principal of Mirai United VRT, my sim racing team, Aki Yasugawa, for of course, painting delivery on my Indy car here. It's a nice looking car, and I enjoy racing it.
Yeah, well, we enjoyed having you, Frank, and thank you so much for stopping by the interview booth. That's Frank Wynn. He's going to come home second tonight. Keep going fast, having fun, buddy, and we will see you at the next one.
Thanks for having me.
100%. That is Frank Wynn. And before we bring in Clindy, I need to have a bet with my guy Ryan Eric King here.
Okay.
How long is this interview going to take? Gary is always after me for my long interviews when I win a race. So what is the over under here for Clindy in the booth? You think?
Oh, I think I'd put the over under around 3 minutes.
I am going to take the over. I'm going to start the stopwatch as soon as we bring him in. And we'll see who's going to have the better of it. Clindy, you got Mark and the wreck in the booth. We're taking bets on this interview now, so don't short us. You had a lot of everything today. You started on the third row. You were the leader of the alternate strategy, and you guys made that work. My first question is, how much gas did you have left in that thing when you crossed the line, and when did you know that you were good to roll to the end?
Yeah, so all thanks to my teammate Jacob Collins, who was in voice chat with me, crunching the fuel number every lap after lap 10 to let me know if I could go full push. And when I thought I could go full push, I couldn't because the car was so light. My economy was even worse. So I was assuming the full push number was going to be 4 flat. It was like a 392 or like a 393. So I had to run map 3 a couple times at the end there in the lead, hoping no one would just blow my doors off. And I ended the race with 0.07 gallons in the tank, just enough to roll around again because it starts stuttering at 0.04. So yeah, very, very fortunate that I didn't have to go another lap. Or, I mean, I would have saved more if I had to go another lap, but I didn't really want to save. I kept island hopping up to the front because once Edson tried to race down Wagner and burned up a bunch of fuel, and then Wagner pit, I don't know if it was early, but, with enough time for him to use those tires or get them warmed up if a caution were to fall, he really put himself on the back foot because Edson had to save so much more fuel there than the rest of us because I think he was chugging along half revs in 4th gear down the front straight one time. I think I hit like a 5.5 behind him. 5.5 miles per gallon, which is like double what you would normally get on consumption, which is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I don't think that the alternate strategy was alternate. I think it was the preferred strategy. Just you couldn't do it if you were leading. Because if you could go 27 on one stint and then 26 on every other stint, you cut a stop. And it's just, you can't do that if you're running fast. You could do it if you're saving, but, I guess I'm a saver, not a faster.
Well, I'd say you went pretty fast. You wound up in victory lane. Ryan, what do you have for Mr. Clinworth this evening? We're running out of questions to ask you, Clindy, so we're gonna have to figure something else out. Ryan, what do you have?
Yeah, because you put yourself in so many different situations today. What was your line of thinking after that last restart and the run into the checkered flag?
Yeah, so that whole last run, I shot myself in the foot on pit road, but it turned out to be a blessing in disguise. When Edson was in front of me, because of the pit road rules, I have to stay right, and he pulled over to go in his box, and I was the next box in front of him, and I didn't want to hit him and risk getting wing damage, so I braked just a little bit later than normal. And I guess I didn't notice I was in second gear, so when I downshifted to try to go into reverse, I actually was in first, and I squirted the throttle forward rather than backward. So I came out 8th or something on track. I think there might have been a lapper, but it was Wags and then somebody else and then all the leaders who were going to make it to the end with the save in front of me. And I was thinking, okay, strategy here. I'm going to push really hard for the first 3 laps and get as many as I can. Then I'm going to save really hard until I feel like I can go, I don't know, map 3 in the draft and island hop my way to the lead and get the track position, because I felt more comfortable defending once I knew I could run something close to the full push number. And again, that all goes to Jacob Collins. Like, if it wasn't for him in my back corner, I would have been flying blind. I would have been saving way longer than I needed to, and I wouldn't have felt comfortable racing after Alex and Sheridan. I think maybe it was like with 12 to go or something when I decided I could let myself loose.
Well, you let yourself loose at the appropriate time, and thankfully Colin's pencil was sharp this evening. We'll have to dip into the P1 broadcasting funds and get him a new notebook, because I'm sure he wore it out. But it is always nice having somebody like that to help you work, especially if you're me and you're terrible at numbers. I do want to give you the floor, my man. Friends, family, sponsors, anybody you'd like to shout out to. You're the winner. You get the trophy and you get the mic.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I was kind of commiserating with Shane Coker and Frankie and others in the waiting room. I'm saying, man, I'm beating myself up that Wags beat me at Auto Club by, a fraction of an inch or whatever, because I would have won, up to this point, I would have won every race in this league. So shout out to Wags, 1, for this league, because it's a ton of fun, and 2, for humbling me so I can't just brag all the time about winning every race. I'll have to brag about winning most of the races. Shout out to Shane Coker, who runs the Votive Racing League. We have the Votive Derby this Sunday. It is the crown jewel event.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
There are bounties paid, or a prize purse paid for winning and for finishing second. So I'm going to try to stack the field with as many of my Rogue Racing teammates as I can this Sunday evening on P1 Broadcasting. So make sure to tune into that one. It should be a lot of fun. We got the green walls out on New Kentucky, and Robert Maleshka III made us a really good setup for Kentucky. I think it's going to promote a lot of good side-by-side racing, a lot of crossovers, a lot of slide jobs, stuff you love to see that causes action-packed racing.
Clinty, I hear that there might be some special guests attending that race. We're going to try to see if we can't get Ryan Eric King in a car for that one.
Wow.
Maybe we'll drag LGN out of retirement. I know I'm entered in that race, so there's going to be somebody around to put up a fight, right? But yeah, it's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to that one. Good plug, because that's going to be a heck of a good time. That's Sunday night, 7:50 p.m. here on the P1 Broadcasting Network.
7:50 p.m. Eastern time, and I know all my family watching at home is in the Central Time Zone, so it'll be 6:50 for y'all. And that includes my mom, who loves this track. I know she's watching right now. Every time it seemed she would ask me, hey, where are they racing this weekend? I would tell her, oh, they're racing at Pocono. She'd go, Pocono! So that's a fond memory I have of my mom, who would check in about the races because she knows I care about them. And, she watches me now because she likes to watch me race. But, she doesn't watch pro racing by herself. But she would watch it with me, which was really cool growing up, fostering the love of motorsport right with her child. Shout out to my dad, who's watching at home. I know as a federal employee, things haven't been the greatest for him, but write your representative and tell them that federal jobs matter, because my dad works for the United States Department of Agriculture, and he turns corn into great, amazing things for everyone in America and around the world. And there are things that are happening that put his job and his coworker's job in jeopardy, and it's not fair, right? But hopefully there are brighter days ahead, but that's the way it goes sometimes. But when it comes to corn and agribusiness, you can contact Segerman Farms if you need corn right now. He grows some of the best Wiffle hybrids in Mononk, Illinois, and the greatest soil to grow corn in all of the world. It's run by my cousin, Craig Segerman. So reach out to me. I'll get you in contact with him. And when we're not in growing season, he can deliver septic or heavy machinery trucks to you anywhere in the continental U.S. and maybe even in Canada. I'll have to ask him about that. But he's got a CDL and he goes out on trips often. I think he's watching tonight. So shout out to Craig and his family back home. I've heard that they had really big wind storms this night. So my cousin Colin got his wind pole ripped out of the ground, which was rated for, I think, 80 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's no easy feat.
No, absolutely not. And then obviously shout outs to everyone at P1 Broadcasting. Thanks to Gary. Thanks to you, Murph. Thanks to you, Ryan. LGN out there. Tony Estrada, I know, is going to help the call for IIS. We've got the first IIS going on right now. It's not under stream, but that'll be on Saturday. Votive on Sunday. And then we'll do the Open, me and Murph, on Monday. And then Fixed Championship and Open Championship Monday and Tuesday. And then Wednesday, we're back here for Horizon, and we have Ariza also on Monday night, which, that championship's heating up, just tons and tons of content. So if you're still watching and you haven't, please hit the thumbs up button. Please click subscribe. We are getting ever closer to 1,000 subscribers. So maybe when we get to there, we won't have to beg for donations so much because we'll be able to monetize on YouTube. And even if that's pennies, right? Every penny goes a long way towards Colin's new notebook. But yeah.
We'll throw in a mechanical pencil for Collins when we get to 1,000. How's that?
Yeah, a couple lead packs so he can erase, right, in case he had to recalc it all.
We'll get him one of those giant erasers. You know what I mean? One of those big 3-foot long erasers. I think he'd like that.
Oh, or one of those giant pencils that has a giant eraser on it. I know that they use those in kindergartens and stuff to teach kids to write because their motor skills aren't so good. So I
think that's a great idea. We'll get Collins a 3-foot long pencil with a giant eraser on top. I think he would really appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it'll say like something about motor skills and motorsports. I'll think about the pun later off air when I'm not under stress. So it'll actually be good instead of haphazard.
Yeah, no, I mean, you and I are pretty good at puns, so we'll think of something for old Collins. And I'm glad he's out there and helping you guys out and having a good time. But we'll let you get out of here, let you celebrate, and keep going fast, having fun, Clinty. I will see you on Sunday night.
Yes, sir. I'll see you then.
I'll tell you what, I'll even let you pick my paint scheme. How's that?
Oh, wow, Murph. That's a lot of power. I might go mad with power.
No, well, to be fair, you have to pick one of mine. It can't be any. It has to be one of mine. How's that?
Oh, okay. Sure. That's much more fair. That is much more fair.
Well, get out of here. Go celebrate with your team and keep going fast and having fun, buddy.
I will. Always do. Thanks, Murph.
Yep. That is Kyle Clinworth. He is tonight's winner from Pocono. Definitely, Ryan Eric King, you were the loser of that bet. 10 minutes, 25 seconds on the interview for Kyle Clinworth. And so that brings us to the end of the show. Once again, Clinty is your winner. I don't think that that's a surprise to any of us that regularly follow the Horizon Racing League or the Horizon IndyCar Series, or really any of the content or broadcasts here on the P1 Broadcasting Network. He's always up there and he's always fast, and he's on a heck of a roll lately. Speaking of future broadcasts, right now you got Gary Godso. He's over with Stephen Larkamp doing the Formula Indy Series, the Echo Blade 150. That's at Milwaukee, so if you want to click over and catch the end of that race, you most certainly can. Tomorrow night, Sam Crow and I will be in the booth for the American Motorsports Association Black Magic Studios Grand National Series. That's going to go off at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Standard. We're going to be off Friday, but don't let that dissuade you because Saturday is the big show. The iRacing IndyCar Series Top Split presented by 4D Racewear. That's going to happen March the 1st, 1 p.m. That is Saturday, and that is from Sebring. Sunday night, we're going to have the voted IndyCar Oval Series. That's their crown jewel, the Kentucky Indy Derby. That's at 7:50. Monday night starts Championship Monday here on the P1 Broadcasting Network. Clinty and I are going to be right back here at Pocono for the IndyCar Open Series finale. That's going to be immediately followed by Gary Godso and LGN. They're going to do the ISRA race from Charlotte at 9:30. We'll follow that up Tuesday with the IndyCar Oval Tuesday night top split from Atlanta, 7:15. That is their championship race. And then we'll be right back here, 8 o'clock. Ryan Eric King and I for the Horizon IndyCar Series round at Milwaukee. Would love to thank all of our competitors, all of our viewers. You guys out there, guys and gals, are the reason we do this. We appreciate your support. As Clindy said, if you haven't already done it, click the like button on the video, smash subscribe on the channel, ring the bell. Those two things are absolutely free, and they do more than anything else to help the channel. For Ryan Eric King, our founder Gary Godso, and myself, we would like to thank all of the first responders, the police, fire, military, EMTs, all the people that do the hard work at night so that we can lay our heads on the pillow and sleep soundly. We thank you, and we will see you tomorrow night.